What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another week of Carbonate Bounty BS. Me and the nerds here. How's everyone doing?
What's up? What's up? What's up?
How you
Terrific.
doing?
Yeah.
Great, man. And it's as I, get redundantly saying, another great episode. It seems of Andor once again, right? I don't remember us,
I think that's
even
the
back.
sixth time you said that in a row. How many
Yeah,
times have we
it's
said that
crazy.
for like a Star Wars
Never.
series,
We've
much
never
less a
done this.
series?
I'll say we've never done this, so. I don't know. Everybody is entitled to their own opinions. We'll get to, but I don't see where the negativity comes from this at all. But what a start to a show. What a great, yeah. This is a Team Mitch out of Team Mitch for sure series. If this is a Ken out of Ken, this is definitely a Team Mitch out of Team Mitch. Kathleen Kennedy, please add me to the payroll. Just saying. Before we get into this stuff, let's let DP let you guys know where to find us.
Nerdcyclopedia.com, people. You will find all our links to your favorite social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and also on TikTok. We're on TikTok now. All right. Make sure that you are listening to our podcast. We are on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Boot Play, Google Play, and also Stitcher.
What is that?
Hey, Team Mitch, why don't you take over? Why don't you take over, letting them know where to find us for this one, for the rest of this one? Because I think you might take a minute to come back from that.
Yeah.
Buble. He doesn't come out for another month. Michael Buble?
Yeah.
Oh
Wow.
man. Okay. Way to play that there, Ken.
This is a family show.
Yeah.
All right.
Family show.
All right. If you are watching us on YouTube, make sure that you're hitting that subscribe button and also hitting that notification button. So anytime that we're on, you know that we're on. We're on Facebook. Thank you for watching us there. Join our Facebook group. We're at Carbonate Bounty BS, the Star Wars group. We're there. Leave us some feedback, nerds@nerdcyclopedia.com. We love getting your feedback, and we love, getting all your emails and stuff and commenting and responding. So there you go.
What a save, DP. The joys of live TV, right? Gotta love it.
Who play?
Right.
Let me stop.
Well, since you have the hot hand right now, we'll let you start with your initial reaction to episode 7. What were you thinking?
Did I let you guys ever know that I do hate the Empire? So that's like right off the bat there. The more I watch, the more you guys ingratiate me. Is that the right word?
Yes.
Indoctrinate me or whatever. Into like Star Wars lore and everything. And the more we see like the evil empire, it was like a comedy thing, a meme thing type. Okay, an evil empire and everything. Oh, they were just like just this thing and everything. Now we're seeing like ever since like watching like episode 1 and everything, seeing like the politics and everything that's involved with like the empire, we're seeing like little stuff just add up over time from like Rebels to like Clone Wars to like this show. We're seeing all the intricacies of things that the empire does to claim their power, to keep the people where they are, to indoctrinate them, to make them to what I want to call it, do a patriarch on the people and stuff. It's like just crazy. This episode was fantastic. It was a really good episode. Didn't have a lot of action, but didn't really need action and stuff. We seen like a beach scene. With like whole city and everything. I'm like, okay, I want to visit there. That looks like a way to get a place to get away to. And he ends up getting like caught for no reason. For what? I love that whole scenario. I love like the meeting, the party that Mon Mothma was at and all that stuff. It's just so much like I love the IBS scene. That was just like, yeah, that was like hardcore right there. There the Empire is getting mention the Palpatine, so we got a Palpatine reference. I was loving that. I'm like, oh man, y'all just like feed my soul as far as this. So it was it was some good stuff, and I was just loving it.
Yeah. What about you, Hitch?
I mean, the IBS of it all is really something else. So the ISB is
Was it IBS?
Yeah, he said IBS again.
This is one of the greatest
I didn't want
episodes
to
of
say
the show.
anything, but I'm glad you did, Steel City, because DP is.
I mean, this
awful.
IBS is just erupting at the worst possible time. You know, you
Oh.
can never get a handle on it when you have the IBS. Sometimes
There's
Yeah.
not enough toilet
things catch you from behind.
Yeah.
So I really love this episode, and I think what's great is that we see the consequences here, and that's something that's sometimes devoid of the the old westerny trope, the train robbery trope, the heist trope. Is you don't see what happens to people. You know what I mean? It's just kind of, oh well, they got away with it, great. And here we see the fallout. I mean, there is definite fallout from what Andor and the rest of this team have done. The Empire is tightening its grip, and the Empire is using this as a pretext to sort of incorporate new oppressive measures to keep the population under control. And it's interesting to see how this is moved up Palpatine's time frame. I think we can clearly see the Sith plan was to just keep everyone pretty quiet long enough to build the super weapon and then deploy the super weapon, and then it doesn't really matter what anyone tries to do. They'll never be able to take you out of power. The rebellion here is seen as turning the time up on that. They're hurrying the Empire and making the Empire make mistakes. It's interesting because the Empire creates a pretext for the oppression. It's crazy to watch them do this, and it's something that should be illustrative to us in this timeline, because this is the sort of thing that certain regimes that want to be autocratic do. It's something that was done in Nazi Germany with the Reichstag fire. It's something that we saw, I think, that was tried to be done in 2021 in the United States. It's something that happens across the world when a strong man takes power. And then all of a sudden, if you create a situation where there is unrest in the streets, and the answer to that unrest is the strong man, that's how you get more restrictive measures. And in a lot of ways, that's kind of how Palpatine came into power. But there's
protection,
security, safety, right? There's this old story that says that when Kennedy was elected president, or maybe they say Khrushchev or whatever, it's probably apocryphal. They said that there were two notes in the president's desk, and the president opened the first note and he got into a jam. He said he got in a jam he couldn't get out of. He opened up the first note from the previous president and said, "Blame everything on me." And so he did it, and it worked, right? And then the second time it came up, there was a second note from the previous president. He opened it up and it said, resign and write two notes, right? That's pretty much what you can do. And when you've been running everything for 13 years, there's not a lot of scapegoats left. So we see the Empire have to resort to these oppressive methods to maintain order. And like I said, rebellions cost money. Revolutions cost money. This is not pure avarice that's got these people stealing this payroll. It's something more than that. And, putting a finger in the eye of the Emperor here is a big deal thing. It's, you wound the lion, then everyone comes in for the kill. So I really, really like this episode a lot.
What about you, Ken?
Yeah, for me, best one so far. What I liked about it was the intensity that the rebellion was picking up with. I mean, there was a lot of energy there. I mean, you could tell that things were really ramping up. Mon Mothma was trying to enlist help from places that maybe didn't expect her to reach out to them. Her school friend, someone that she had grown up with, who had rose to power and some dignity and had, a place in the council, now is being asked to, go against everything and for no reason, and had to keep everything quiet. She's actually turning her family out of the picture. I mean, she can't trust her husband. She can't trust her daughter. So you really seeing her as the big power, and you see how she becomes Mon Mothma, that general that we know of as in Rogue One, which thank Disney, because they remind me to watch Rogue One every time I watch an episode of Andor. which I do because I'm obedient, and I watch that opening 15, 20 minutes, and I'm like, yeah, this really makes sense. I understand how things are going to go, and how Cassian is really going to become this rebel intelligence officer.
Ken, the media does that to you. They that's how they get you to tag on to this next thing.
100%. So we see him at the end given a 6-year Imperial sentence, but in 5 years he becomes a rebel intelligence officer. So I'm super anxious to see how that happens. Like, does he get KST 50 to break him out, because we see him introduced at the end? I mean, this episode really had a lot of hinges to it, a lot of moving parts, a lot of things you really had to pay attention to. Plus, that corporate police officer, I mean, he's now, a pencil pusher. He's a pencil pusher in the Empire. Now he's got access to everything. He has access to every piece of data that the Empire has. And what is he going to do with that? I mean, that's intense. Plus, best soundtrack, best music that I have sensed now since up until this point. I mean, the music at the beach scene, the music, even the background music when Claire finally met up with what's her name in the depths of Coruscant to
Avril.
Avril, yeah. And what a change of costume and presence there too. Now she's a leader. Yeah. Now you know that she's going to be someone that we're going to see next in the rebellion. I mean, not to mention the ISB scene, where don't be the tattletale, because you will get busted every single time if you try and tell on somebody, because it'll get turned around on you 100%. Marva has a great skill factor that the Empire is now going to use, and she's going to be the next level of security for the Empire. And I think she's going to be real important in maintaining balance between the Empire and the Emperor, plus taking on this rebellion. So we're going to see a lot of her for sure. But this was a great episode. It had a lot of great, like I said, moving parts, a lot of gears turning here. And where's Tarkin? Like, where is he at in this whole thing? Like, come on. I keep wanting to see a sneak of Moff Tarkin somewhere, but they're holding out. They're holding out on us.
Your namesake.
For sure. For sure. And I mean, I echo what all you guys say as well. I mean, I just think, I said it offline, like, man, this is we'll call it a T Mitch out of T Mitch. I mean, this is getting ridiculous with these episodes, right? I mean, we're now relatively 7 hours into a series, and it hasn't missed a beat for me. I mean, that's to say something. I mean, with the writers on this show, with Filoni, Disney. I mean, regardless of how you feel, Kathleen Kennedy has to get credit for this. I mean, there's been a lot to be said for the Star Wars series, and this one is hitting on all cylinders. It seems like. I mean, it's really what I asked for, in a post, Jedi series in a way, and I like how they're kind of still walking that line between, we got the Palpatine references, we don't have any Jedi references yet, or any Force references, so I like that line we're walking, and we're still keeping that gritty rebellion type, feel, that Western feel that always we wanted. I know Hitch talked about more of the space and more of the rebellion squadron, rogue squadron type things. If they can deliver something like this into a space type rogue squadron, I'd be all on board for them to reboot that and maybe give it another shot, because I mean, this has been 7 hours of gold. We talk about movies. I mean, is this the new way? We talk about, is this the way? Like, really, is this the way? I mean, we're 7 hours into a movie in a sense, and I don't remember a movie being this good, this long.
I think you're seeing with the hindsight, I guess the benefit of having Rogue One, is like a lead up to all this. they're getting the benefit of us actually watching things happen in, I guess, real time, if you want to call it like that. We're seeing like things happen where we know there's escalation. There has to be escalation because we know there's an endpoint. We know that there's going to be, Roll One happening and stuff. So things are happening in succession. Things are just, we know things. So we get the benefit of that, because versus us not knowing anything, I don't know how we will react to any of this. I think probably the same way, probably even more, just excited of what's going to happen next. But knowing that we know how things are going to end up, it makes our anticipation for what these characters are going to go through that much more and stuff. I was just like, wow, they're really going there as far as like how essentially they just took Andor and made him a prisoner, lied on him straight up. Oh, what are you doing? You're hanging around here. You're doing this.
Part of it.
You're part of it. You just kept some fake fascist stuff right there. Just kept framing, and he's like, what I'm doing, I'm not doing. I'm just walking around and stuff. And putting them in and giving them 6 years. What? Come on now. I mean, what Hit said. They're grasping at, not grasping at straws, but they're tightening that belt. Because someone has a foresight, Palpatine, to see something's coming. Something, so something's bubbling under the surface and everything, but we don't want to get it to a point where it bubbles and ruins everything. So let's nip this thing in the bud. It's the big thing about nipping things in the bud now before it gets too big. Palpatine, the genius that he is running things, and we don't have to see him to know that this is all him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they know right now that the rebels have technology, imperial technology, in their grasp that will get to their end. Whatever that is. They don't know what it is. They don't know about the planet killer yet. That's yet to come. But they have a way to get into the Empire's security string. They have a way to get in there and hear everything. Like they're listening to it now. They're listening to the Imperial dialogue that's telling them, hey, this happened on this planet. There's this many insurgents. These many people have been killed. This is how many people are being interrogated. They already have access to all this internal information. So now it's just a matter of waiting to the right moment and hearing the right, phrase or code or whatever they're looking for. And that's it. They're just looking for a weakness. They're just looking for some way to get into the Empire and knock it out. And they're being very, 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 very subtle and careful and tactful about it. So that's the real thing. That's why this Marva, this supervisor, this Imperial Navy supervisor, has it figured out. She knows how to find them and make sure the rebels can't get into the system. So I wonder how that's going to play out. Like, what did her boss say? Watch your back. Because now she's a very viable target. She's someone that everyone's going to be looking to take out because she's found a place for herself. She might even be saying, you're in danger now, not from the Empire, but from the rebels.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it was interesting to see that. I mean, it was very interesting to see Mon Mothma's reaction to an isolated attack that obviously she wasn't aware of, which is super, super. That was really shocking to me. I thought that she understood where the money was going to fund the beginning of the rebellion, but she was in utter disbelief that the heist happened and they had some kind of funds, and to understand the stakes of maybe she didn't know, because we're seeing that maybe she didn't have any idea based on her reaction that this is a rebellion. There will be lives lost. There will be a lot of casualties, as is in war.
Are you built for this?
Yeah, basically he asked her that, and I don't know if she is. I mean, she's really shook at this point. And keep in mind, she has to go immediately to this dinner and put on a face and now scramble to find money, right? I mean, the first part of the tactical plan has been laid out. The rebellion essentially is started as they alluded to. And now it looks like they have pieces in place. They have people on Coruscant. Um, Interesting about the Cassian piece about putting a hit on him already, and he's a loose end. So I mean that maybe that'll be the payoff. Will be her belling him or breaking him out of jail potentially. That seems to be the payoff there because obviously she's going looking for him. Um, and yeah, as you said, interesting to see what Cyril finds at his new job. I mean, he has access to all data. I thought that they would flash on the screen that they captured, or I don't know, based on some kind of data log, he'll find out that prisoner 779402 is like Cassian Andor or something. So interesting to see what he's actually digging for or what he finds
He
because it
knows his
seems like
picture. He knows what
yeah,
his face looks like because he's been
right,
staring at that picture over and over and over and over and over and over. So if you saw, you know, like if I'll tell you this, if I got fired from a job and it was somebody's fault, I would remember, I would like know their face. And if I saw him in Walmart, I'd at least like be like, oh, that's that guy that got me fired. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I feel like that's fair that he would remember that dude.
I'm sure he does a data search at some point, which would be interesting. I mean, this guy's like, it's almost like a fetish, right? For him, he can't let it go. I mean, he wants his record expunged. Maybe he gets back into
He has a
to
vendetta.
the, yeah, maybe he gets back into the Empire. This is his way back in by solving the
Or
puzzle.
or does he go the other way with it? Does he see how, because it wasn't just Cassian that wronged him. It was really the Empire and its thirst and hunger to take over everything. The power. Because I mean, think about it. He was a corporate policeman doing his job, and what messed up his day? I mean, really, it was the Empire coming in and like telling him he was a complete idiot. He messed this whole thing up. Your detail was, uh, compromised. It wasn't necessarily because of Cassian, but it was because the Empire came in and thought that this was a way that they could get a dig and get rid of the corporate infrastructure, because that's ultimately what they want to do, right? I
Right.
mean, they ultimately want to have all control, and this was an easy way that they could get in, knock out the local um, governors, as
Right.
Tarkin said, and now have control over the whole system, the whole planet. And this was easy. So maybe he sees that at some point and understands that maybe Cassian wasn't the real problem. The real problem was the Empire. I'm just saying, I'm being
Yeah, no,
I'm
that's a good
being
point.
because
His
sometimes
uncle
you're
is
in
also an interesting character as well that they're alluding to. They keep mentioning him, so he has to have
right.
some part in the story.
Yep.
Has to
And
play a
who
part
is
in
he?
this.
Do we know?
Yeah, that'll be interesting. An interesting payoff.
It'd be real interesting to see a little bit more of my Mothma's background on and how what her motivations were. We're at the point where she's a believer, but we're trying to figure out if she's built for this and everything. I mean, eventually we see that she is. But how did she get to that point? How did she
Yeah.
get to the point where she sacrifices her family? What triggered
Right.
her, or what was the turning point where she said, okay, I don't care anymore. I see the empire for what it really is and what is manifesting and what they're trying to do, and I'm going to dedicate my life, to taking them down, even if it cost me my family and everything. Because she, and I think it's a combination of her not really having a great relationship with her family and stuff that may play a part in it as well. But still, that's
Yeah.
like family. But I'm really invested in her story and how she just let herself turn herself over into this cause, into this rebellion, and how she just goes so full force and stuff. So I'm very deeply interested in that. Cassian, obviously, he has his stuff and everything. The scene with him and his mom, what was her name?
Marva.
Marva. Yeah,
Yeah.
the scene with him and her not wanting to leave, you know, because
Yeah.
she's not knowing that Cassie was part of that, the heist and all that stuff. you know, but she's inspired by something. And the ironic thing is that, you know, the person that helped out with it is right in front of her face, and he can't really say anything, you know. And she
You know
does.
what's DP, you know
No,
what's interesting about that? I think she knows. The kind of
I
way he
think she
hinted to
does
like
too.
unlimited money, it was like weird when she was like, you know what, I'm just gonna stay. I think she knows.
Eh,
She might not know he's part
Yeah,
of it, he's a rebellion, but I think she knows he stole the money.
eh.
she has to know because he's
She's super
so
intelligent, yeah.
super intelligent, and she saw the passion in him when she found him as a child. I mean, this kid was like trying to destroy this entire battleship by himself. I mean, he was going to take
Yeah,
down this
yeah.
entire whatever, first order, New Republic ship that came down and like killed his family. He was going to take them out. She saw that passion. She's got to know. She's got to know in some way that he's involved.
Yeah. How about the bombshell that he said his sister died? I mean, I don't know if she's just saying that so he stops looking, or if she really went back to the planet to maybe help and gather
Or is
more of
that
them.
not
But it's
true? Is that a
I think
lie?
that's Chekhov's sister.
yeah, I'm not
Yeah, she's
sure.
showing up. We'll see her soon.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
4 episodes, 8, 9, like it's like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? 5 episodes. And here's how many episodes until she shows up. 4. And here's how many episodes until they explain where she's been. 5. I can tell you that right now. That's exactly how they're gonna do
I
it.
always tee that up for Hitch, man. You know,
Yeah.
because you mentioned you fired a gun, man, or you introduced the gun, right? Okay, you
Right.
introduce the gun. It's got to
If
fire.
you show it, if I go, hey, check out this gun, guys, one of us is getting shot, right? Now it'll be a crazy shot because you're not here. So I guess really I'd be in trouble. My process elimination, right? So yeah, you gotta be careful in a fictional story to not introduce things that you're not
Right.
going to use.
Yeah,
No,
she's showing up at some point. I
for
think
sure.
this was the second or third time they mentioned her.
Yeah, they keep bringing her up. So
That was the whole
yeah.
catalyst of his initial, encounter with the whole corporate hierarchy. One thing that's interesting is how obviously, like 13 years ago, like the Empire had to show up and assert control, and they tried to do things like through subsidiary ownership or through subsidiary governance, and they found that that has not been working to their liking. People have been having too much freedom, and it's time for the policemen to beat them, and that's how the Empire wants it. And I think that's probably going to be bad for the Empire because, as Lutheran said, this is going to awaken people to the fact that the Empire is an oppressive autocracy and cause them no longer to,
Sit on their asses.
well, act out of fear. Never forget if every kingdom's a robbery, a tyranny is an armed, smash and grab. It's extortion. So it takes people sometimes time to think to themselves that it's worth the cost of throwing off the extortion. Makes sense in a lot of circumstances. The whole that's probably the Owen Lars philosophy, right? It's not worth the hassle to get involved. Not some damn fool idealistic crusade. I know that's Obi-Wan said that.
The payout isn't enough. Like you're not going to get what you get back. The return is not enough for you to risk everything. I mean everything, because you think a rebellion. I mean, to do that, you have to risk everything. You have to get rid of your family. You have to get rid of your belongings. You have to basically throw it all out there. And because that's what it is. And that's what they keep saying, people are going to die. There's going to be loss.
Yes.
It's a fact.
Yes.
Don't think that this is all going to be pretty.
Yeah.
Because that's what they're saying. Okay, so now Cassian has a death, he's a target.
Right.
They have to take him out because they don't really know where he's at. Where is his head at? But they have to take him out because for all they know, he's going right to the Empire and he's telling them everything.
Mm-hmm.
But
loose ends.
Loose ends. You have to tie up your loose ends. If you're going to have a successful rebellion and take down a government, you can't have people just running around like who aren't with you. If you're not with us, you're against us.
I mean, you're right.
Right there is against them because he left.
When being a revolutionary became a professional thing in the latter half of the 19th century, this whole idea of operational security and ruthlessness and governance really took hold of those guys. And you can see how they act, especially in the Russian Revolution. Lenin's the type of person that will break whatever word he has and undo any moral he has to just to keep his neck, attaching his head to his body. He'd rather win and deal with the fallout than lose and be dead. Which, hey, if you're going to start a rebellion, if you're going to start a revolution, the purpose isn't to die, it's not to lose, it's to win and experience the world you're creating. So it's interesting to see them explore these ideas of political unrest, and to see how they're being very, they're tying it pretty closely to reality. I mean, you've got this guy talking about the empire will change after we strike at them. And Andor last episode saying you've got one thing wrong. Nothing's going to change if you do this, right? And Andor is wrong. And this whole episode, dealing with the consequences of the heist, is just showing how wrong Andor was. Cassian thought he could kick the hornet's nest and just walk away.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
Aware or not, forces are closing in on Cassian, and ultimately, he's already in the grasp of he's already in their grasp now before they even catch up to him. Yeah. So, how often when you watch the first 48 are they like he was already in jail? Like when they finally go to question the person, they think it's like, hey, it was already incarcerated.
Nothing's going to be pretty. Nothing's going to be pretty under these circumstances, because there's a lot of tension, and all these different civilizations and people. How are they going to react to this? Because everyone's going to have, well, what's in it for me? I mean, that's the big thing, and that's why the Empire fails, because they don't give everyone the whiffum. They don't give everyone the, they don't sell it to everybody. And you can't keep doing that. You can't keep stomping your boots around, stomping on necks and heads, and expect the entire populace to just fall in line. There's going to be this rebellion. There's going to be, like the Hutts, and there's going to be gangsters, and there's going to be these different groups that are going to say, you know what, we're going to do things this way, and we have enough muscle and strength and money to control our piece of the puzzle, and you're never going to get to us. Like, did Emperor Palpatine ever get to Jabba the Hutt? No, not a single lick. There was no Imperial presence on Tatooine. Not a stitch. Right? Am I right? I think I'm
up to episode.
Even more in the macro sense, people are going to look at what happened with Andor, and if it just keeps escalating and happening to a lot of people, those things aren't right. I mean, people are going to have the sense of right and wrong, and like Luthen said, there's things like this that wakes people up and like Hitch said, it gets them going, and either wanting to be a part, hence we get Rebels, with all them and everything, our heroes and stuff on the Ghost, and we get like just a bunch of people wanting to help overthrow like the Empire and stuff. We see stormtroopers this episode. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, remember that was the whole idea of the heist, right? Outside of getting the money, was kicking the hornet's nest, because they wanted to have this presence to where the Empire ratcheted down on these planets. So there's no sense of safety anymore, right? There's no sense of independence. It's this tyranny over top of you, right? As Marva said, they're already here. So Cassian, where else are we going to go? There's nowhere to run. Right. The Empire is now employing stormtroopers, which aren't clone troopers. So now they're beefing up their military, right? Because now they can't allow these independent factions to rule their planets. Palpatine needs to have his control over there. So now we're starting to see, as we saw the Star Destroyer show up on that previous planet, I'm sure, to do the inquest as far as the heist.
How cool was that?
That's something awesome.
Yeah.
I was hoping
in the atmosphere. I mean,
I really held many hope out that was like, yeah, is Vader on that? Because this is a major thing, right? So who are you going to send, right? Who's going to send out to do the inquest?
Oh, I
So I
think
was
Vader
like,
would do a great job here.
that's what I'm saying. Will that be? I mean, they might swerve around it, but essentially that's who I thought was on there. Like, if you're gonna send a Star Destroyer there, I'm sure it's gonna be Vader or Tarkin, one of the two, right?
I mean,
So,
to bring the whole Star Destroyer out of orbit and through
right?
the atmosphere like that, and we talked about, I think last week, DP, you said, TIE fighter from the ground is terrifying and moving so fast and loud and it's crazy. Well, the Star Destroyer is like that. It's like a mountain flying through the air.
Right.
It's like the beginning of Independence Day or something like that. It's
Right.
insane.
Yeah.
I mean, it's this muscle, this statement of muscle, and you see the way that the tribal people that are the natives of this place are walking around with like shorn woolen scarves and crap like that and like sticks, and these guys are flying in a whole Star Destroyer worth of death to this place, and it's very, 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 very ominous. And it echoes, we talk about how I like tying things back to the original Star Wars, the Spirit of 77, I call it. That whole, moment of shock and awe at exactly how powerful the Empire is echoes that first shot of A New Hope, where we, have the tracking shot of the Star Destroyer flying over the camera. That is, the Emperor showing up in the form of the Emperor's military might is always impressive. And I hope you guys are right. And Vader is on that thing, because that would be the spoiler of that would be the twist of the year, I think, in Star Wars for sure.
But would he at this point, would the Emperor waste resources like that? Because right now it's like it was a robbery. Like Cassian said, nothing more, nothing less. A robbery that failed and they all died. That's what he told his mother.
Mm-hmm.
So would the Emperor really waste Vader's technique?
I don't know.
On
I don't
this?
think he would.
No,
But I
because
think
it's nothing central, nothing to actually point your finger at. Okay, deal with that, because
Right.
this thing is like spread. Like you can't pinpoint. Rebels are hiding. They're like you're trying to stomp out weeds and stuff. You can't just do one weed and expect everything to just be done. No, that's just not how it goes. So no, I mean he wouldn't waste the resources until something just pops his head up, and you can be like, okay, well, you need to dispatch, or he needs to dispatch Vader over there to handle an issue, which is what he's already doing. We see in the comics and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, well, they've already levied the punishment, right? Every system has to pay for it, the lost money, which is crazy.
Five
Right?
times more than was stolen.
Wow.
Wow.
5 times.
You talk about it. You talk about your local taxes going up.
Someone needs to tell the Empire about the Streisand effect. And the more you protest against something, the more attention you call to it, right? It's named after someone said something defamatory about Barbara Streisand, and she sued them, and then now all people talk about is that someone said something defamatory about her, and they don't care about who won the outcome of the thing. So you just end up publicizing the wrong thing. So the more you try to strike back against these guys, the more you call attention to the fact that you were asleep on the job and let these guys steal all this money. And if you're asleep on the job and you can let these guys steal all this money, why should anybody be afraid of you to the point where they won't rebel, or be afraid of you to the point where they won't, they'll just pay their taxes? Why would you pay your taxes to somebody who you don't want to pay your taxes to? They can't make you. Like let me put it to you guys this way. If right now Vladimir Putin said, hey guys, you all owe me $100, you probably all tell him to kiss ass, right? Like we don't say exactly that. You know why? Because he can't do nothing to us. That's how it is. So the Emperor has to exert control, or else the next time the Emperor goes for tribute, these star systems are going to say no, do whatever they want. And then guess what? You're not the Emperor anymore if people don't do what you tell them.
Mm-hmm. So
you're some guy.
What do you think is going to be that step, Steel City? What is the Emperor going to do now to have that happen, to elicit that reaction, that the next time when he asks for what is owed him, like what is Caesar going to do right now so that when Caesar asks for the money, Caesar gets it. What is the emperor going to do?
So what Caesar did, since this
And
sort of
he's
stuff.
probably still doing.
So Caesar at one time was he was going to Athens to study logic and rhetoric at the academy there, and he was kidnapped by pirates. And Caesar was like 24, 25 years old. He hadn't really done anything in his career, and his family had some money, and so they said, all right, we're going to ask him for like 30 pieces of silver for you. And he said, no, ask him for 60. And he said, ask him for more money. And then while he was their captive, he would write them poems about how he was going to come back and find them and crucify every last one of them. And he would say it in a tone that made everybody think it was really, really funny. And then, they raised the ransom and Caesar was freed, and he went to Athens and he raised a fleet and he went back and he found the pirates and he crucified them. But he was very merciful. So Caesar cut all their throats first because he actually did like them.
So is the emperor going to take some sort of the same sort of stance against this rebellion? Like, is he going to show compassion but stamp them out?
Rebellion's like a cancer, boss. I mean, once it starts, it spreads. You gotta cut it out.
Who is the rebellion at this point that he knows?
None. Yeah, right?
Nobody.
I think they're going to try to paint the rebellion as more of terrorists against the system, and that's what he offers protection, right? So they're going to paint them out to be like literally rebel scum, and they're doing bad things to harm,
So would the emperor actually have to? He has to do this himself. He has to cause the public's economy to crash. He has to create these things because the rebellion's not going to do it. I mean,
Right.
Mon Mothma's not going to go in and like destroy. What's that planet that Cassian was on? Nemosa. She's not going to go dry up the beaches and destroy everyone's like vacation spot.
Yeah.
But Empire, the Emperor will.
Yeah. Well, as you've seen with Mon Mothma said, though, the Empire is already controlling, galactic credits. Her money's being monitored. They're starting to tighten up banks on other systems, so they're really starting to ratchet down everything. So I think this is the beginning.
They also have control of the media too. So it's not like the rebels. They have like a mouthpiece to speak their own market. They don't have any marketing, but just their exploits and stuff. So they can easily be turned around to be looked at as like the rebel scum. You're destroying our way of life. And as this thing lingers on, you get like generations being involved with this stuff that's used to the Empire being there, and they're growing up on this and they don't know like how things were before, the Empire took over and stuff. So it gets real curious, the longer this whole thing just lasts.
I wonder if we'll see the home planet for the rebellion, right? Because essentially they're going to have to find a means to communicate with others and make a base. I wonder if we see that. I mean, maybe that's season 2. It's still early, so they're still kind of hashing out how they're going to handle this and get funds. But eventually, I think that's where we see everybody head to, is maybe a headquarters. I mean, they alluded to it. The messages they're sending to communicate, that's getting really tight, right? The Empire is on different channels, and their communication means every message is literally can be a death wish for them. If they
what is Coruscant at this point? Like
Coruscant?
Yeah, Coruscant. What is okay, because they made a reference that you're here at this place and everything, sort of like on the outside looking in and everything. Was that referenced in that type of vein, or did I just miss something? During this episode, it was in the scene where she was talking about it was like her daughter was walking into the scene and everything, and they were having like a conversation on like them being on Coruscant, and the like and everything. I forget. I gotta watch the episode again.
Well, Coruscant is just the center of the galaxy. I mean, it's where everything is controlled, and I think the Emperor still maintains control there, and that's the house.
Okay.
That's his house.
Especially the White House, right? It's Washington, D.C. It's
right.
The galactic
whoever controls Coruscant is seen as being the legitimate governor of the galaxy, traditionally, after whatever foundational republic.
And is Palpatine at this point still seen as a senator, or is he now full fledged?
He declared himself emperor during the events of.
What is he now? Supreme Chancellor now, right? So he's like the head.
Now he's emperor under the First Galactic Empire.
So is it at this point where, like how we seen in Rebels, that he's like on the TV and everything, and we see his like talking head and stuff, just yakking it up.
He's it. He is
it. Okay.
And he's been winning for a long time. No one's been challenging the emperor for quite some time.
I wouldn't. I mean, he's got all the answers. You ask him a question, he knows what to say.
And if he doesn't know what to say, he'll just cut you in half.
Right.
I mean, it was zap you.
And this guy with a magic sword just comes out of nowhere. Just takes.
Yeah, well, okay. I guess they have all the answers. We'll just follow those guys then.
One thing that's interesting is, I was talking earlier about how the Empire is creating a pretext for their oppression to work. One wonders that if the degree to which Palpatine is reacting to this is his correct premonition that that this rebellion will spell his doom. Because he's right. If he doesn't stop this, it's gonna get him, right? That's what happens.
Get him.
Yeah.
And he sees that. He saw that already. He sees where there's a bacteria, there's an infection that gets hold and rots his whole plan from the inside out. And that's how it happens. That's how rebellions happen.
That's how it ends. So if he's seeing all this and everything, he's still laying the track to where he just his demise is just inevitable. If he's just seeing all this, like he knows all the road to his like whole demise and everything, so he doesn't do anything to try to change that. If he's seeing that,
well, he's moving the wrong direction, right? Because if you read enough about the different revolutions that have happened over time, and Mike Duncan on the Revolutions podcast is summarizing his like the last 10 years of work on that show, and he's been talking about these things that revolutions have in common. And one of the things he talked about is the old regime, or the previous government. And essentially, governments exist because they're functioning correctly. Palpatine is the head of government of the galaxy because he was strong enough to pull that position, which means he's very competent. For people to support an alternate government, they have to be getting something missing in the way of services. The United States government, as we're all probably sitting here thinking, is doing a fine enough job of providing us with the roads and whatever that we need. And I know none of us are considering supporting an alternative option, right? If those things changed, that might change our willingness to transgress against the government. It's important that the rebellion also get this unrest because, again, if things are copacetic and stuff's fine, the government doesn't even have to be oppressive. They don't have to go into these extreme measures to do anything because there's no necessity. So until that necessity is created, the rebellion really isn't going to be able to go mainstream. So Palpatine, by creating the impetus for the rebellion, is creating a self-fulfilling prophecy.
There we go. That's what I meant to say. Self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah. He gets a little greedy. And greedy.
You got too greedy, Sheev. You could have had 98
in his execution, though. Up until the guy with the magic sword comes.
It's also an interesting time.
But that's how things fail, because he tried to control too much. He tried to have it all, and everything was spread so far out. And well, look at history. Look at Germany.
Usually not just Nazi Germany. These revolutionary governments have a tendency to be radicalized, and then they go into a mode of self-protection that causes them to purge themselves inside. And usually there are external enemies, and that's generally the pretext for the oppression, is that there's some enemy at the gates that's banging down the doors. In the prequel trilogy, this was what the Separatists were. They were that threat. And so when there's an imminent threat of military peril, that's when you can do things like for the French government during the French Revolution, the Reign of Terror, when you can justify, the levée en masse and conscripting lots and lots of people. And this causes an overreach, and usually that's what causes the government to topple, and then generally it falls into the hands of a strong man like Napoleon, and then that government overreaches and the whole thing gets toppled. So revolution oftentimes becomes cyclical, but the thing is, Palpatine's revolution really was a palace coup where he just changed the name on the billboard, from McDonald's to McArnold's or whatever. And
McDowell.
Jeeves.
McSheeves.
It's funny because that's what that supervisor is accused of: overreach.
Yeah,
overstepping their bounds and going outside of the model, where actually she's the one with the answer. She sees what's happening, and she sees.
Well, that's where the commander was like very smart and picking her, because they need those type of people. I mean, it's one thing to have yes men, but it's another thing to have people that have actually ideas to move things.
New ideas.
Yeah. Everything.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you have an idea, people don't like it. Man, listen, guys, this happens to me all the time. It's like if I had to write an autobiography, I might actually make that the title. Sometimes you'll have an idea people won't like. Of course, no one would read it because no one would like it. I think this is a deft exploration of what that reach looks like, and I think the message being sent to the ISB is very clear. There's no such thing as an overreach when you're being a zealot. And the emperor is, let's not forget, a god king of the galaxy. I mean, we've seen the intimate revelations of Palpatine's ultimate master plan, and that is to become the god king of the galaxy, like something out of Dune or something like that. That's what Palpatine's trying to do. That's where he wants to go.
Yeah.
So to get there, he's very evil. He's an evil dude, right? Super devious.
Super evil.
I'd love to see more scheming Palpatine, just like in the general stuff, like just in general, being like, no, I know how to do it, and it's all manipulative for no reason. I love this. We talked a little bit about how this heist situation is like a Goodfellas situation, and I love that. Like, I love that Cassian isn't busted because he gets he does some mistake, or he's too flashy with the money, or someone sees a credit, or someone Mary Sue's something, or one of these threads tracks him down. Yeah. It's just he's around.
He's just there. So okay, we need to. You've been here, and he just gets arrested for no reason. That is classic.
He's a tourist.
Classic, yeah, tourist.
Yeah, I'm a tourist.
Trophy stuff. I mean, you gotta love it where they just subvert, the tropes that you usually see in these other shows, and it just ends up being just a new thing here. But it makes sense because of the world that we're in.
But his mama did say there would be days like this, like literally right before she said that's going to happen, and it happened. So I love my mother, but I would I don't know that I'd ever tell her she got landed such a direct "told you so." Like, call me like that. I keep that from her.
Cassian, does he have the wherewithal to realize that what he's done or what he helped do is generating all this? This is a reaction to what he did, what him and the crew did, as far as like the arrests and everything.
After she told him, I think he caught on, and then after the fact that he went to see his, now we know, ex-girlfriend, she's like, listen, like it's the rebellion has started, like you're not safe, like we're not safe at all, everybody's on to us. I think he's learning the stakes, and probably this next episode in jail, he'll really realize the stakes of the heist. And it wasn't just a heist, really. There were, more ties to it. So I really think
his ultimate motivation now. Okay, right. You were being arrested for no reason, and this is the Empire that's doing this. So whereas how he was like, okay, I don't know which way I'm going to go, or he just was agnostic, to like the whole situation. Now he's in a situation where he's confined and not able to do anything, and there's a reason for it. So.
That there's an episode in the American Revolution. I love bringing up the history here, so I'm going to keep doing it until T. Mitchell passes out or or
Oh,
DP
no.
like just throws a baseball in my face. But there's
Keep it
this
going.
episode in the American Revolution. Perhaps some of you have heard of it. It's called the Boston Tea Party. You guys know you're all familiar with this. This is a larceny on a massive scale, and I dare say that if I could prove that I was a member of the Boston Tea Party in Boston in say 1792, that would be worth something to the people in Boston. That I would be a person that they would venerate. They call me a hero. They call me someone that was a fire starter. And look, maybe I was just a guy that hated tea. I don't like tea very much. Maybe I just wanted to smash some stuff up. Maybe I had ulterior motives. Maybe someone paid me to go out there on that boat. But you know, it doesn't matter anymore. None of that. Because I'm a hero, because I did something that is a flashpoint for the rebellion. And you can't untie me from that. You know what I mean? I think what may happen, I mean, Cassian may be about to get some notoriety. I mean, he's a person that rebelled against, he flabbergasted the corpse. He flabbergasted the Imperials. He stole the payroll. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of stuff. That's a resume. You know what I mean?
It's a big ticket.
That's like James Bond stuff already. And he's just like getting started.
Yeah, right?
Now he's going to go to prison like in that one James. I would love to just start saying like that one James Bond movie, The Rock. You guys know about that secret theory, right? I mean, we all know that. The secret theory that character is really a James Bond from like You Only Live Twice or something like that.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, Hitch, your historical, your knowledge of history, it's really refreshing to hear it in these shows and even the parallels in Star Wars, because we understand that, a lot of the tropes and a lot of the plot armor that Lucas and team did when they wrote these, but to see the parallels when you tie this into Ancient Civilization, it's really smacks you in the face, right? It's a repeat of history, whether it's in, our current time or a galaxy
Exactly.
far, far away, right?
Right.
You see how parallel these stories are and how they're told literally time and time and time again. That, it's a circle of life, right? It's always going to come back center at some point.
Hey, if you don't know your history, you're doomed to what?
Repeat it.
Right. So definitely really enjoyed this episode. And as we said, I mean, it's teammates on a teammates. We're 7 for 7 right now, so we're batting 1,000, right?
These have been good.
We're batting 1,000.
There was like, you know what? Last week, I think I said this, is that when we did the Obi-Wan show, we noticed that after the big sort of main fight between Obi-Wan and Vader there in episode 3-ish, there was a real letdown the week after.
Yeah.
And I did not, under any circumstances, feel that with Andor this week. I thought that they kept the tension rolling right along.
Right.
Yeah, you got the big heist stuff, and now we're seeing like the aftershocks, the after effects. We're seeing like the results of it, and that's exciting in itself to see. Wow, we're seeing all the reverberations of it.
Every scene had a point.
Mm-hmm.
There was a detail in every scene in this episode, whether it was Mon Mothma at her party or Cassian and his mother. I mean, there was a point to every interaction between every character. Something built on the story. There was some detail. So I think that's what it was. There wasn't a throwaway scene.
Well, it was something built on what happened in the previous episode.
Yes. Yeah.
It was that detail. Virtually every scene that you're talking about was a response to what happened, during that heist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In the aftermath, like we said.
Aftermath. This is an aftermath episode. Yeah.
Definitely. But yeah, guys, we have an exciting week next week. We have episode 8, obviously, Tales of the Jedi premiere as well. So we'll see how we kind of break it. And I believe they're going to release all 8. They're like short stories. So when I read, I think they're just going to put it all on Disney Plus and let you, I guess, binge watching. So we'll figure out a way to kind of break down as we usually do the Andor episode, and we'll also do something for that Tales of the Jedi for you guys as well. So keep your eyes peeled, as DP said, to our Facebook. Make sure you smash the like on the video as always. And until next week, guys, this is the way.
This is the way.